It is so good to be back. I am Riley Mayhem, and this is Sex with Everyone. I know it's been a minute, and I deeply apologize. It just really was necessary for my mental health to take a little bit of a break from the podcast for a little bit, and I also moved cross country, so I just needed a little bit of time and space to settle in the new city and focus on me for a minute. So I appreciate you and your patience, and I am back. So very stoked. I still have shit tons of interviews waiting to come to your beautiful ear holes, so prepare thyselves. I figured I would shake things up a little bit for the first episode back. I was so honored to be able to do a DJ slot. There is a radio station that my village hosts for the entire week and a half at Burning Man, and I volunteered to do a shift, and it turned out so fucking awesome. So I ended up simply doing my podcast live for the radio station, and I pulled random people from the street, and they just came by and sat down for 5 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever, and we just got to chat. So this is a little different. This is live, recorded live in a different way than usual, and I ended up talking with 4 different people. So you'll be hearing from Kim, Tiger, Cheyenne, and Reptile Dysfunction, and each conversation is very different from the others, which I love, as always. I will say the audio quality is a little different than usual as well, because I wasn't recording with the same equipment that I usually record with, so we kind of had to, jerry rig some things together to be able to even record this live set. So the set originally was interlaced between sexy songs, but I had to cut them down and or completely out because copyright infringement is a thing. So this is a really long intro, and I apologize for that. But again, it is a Burning Man episode hosted at Burning Man. It was a crazy windy day. It was starting to rain while I was in the tower in our DJ booth. It was the beginning of the rains that I'm sure everyone listening has heard of by this point. It was a little crazy day, and you will hear a lot of background noise, art cars going by and people talking in the background and stuff, because I was on a major intersection. So anyway, let's fucking get into it, y'all. Please join me as I talk about sex with Burning Man. So I actually just pulled somebody off of off the street. I don't even know your name yet, my friend. I'm Meow Mayhem.
I'm Kim.
Kim, yes. Thank you so much for stopping.
Thanks for asking me to come up.
Yeah, I'm just yelling at people on the street, and this lovely human said yes. So I'm curious. Have you had any quiet experiences so far? Not maybe this burn or previous burn or anything?
This is my first burn.
Oh, welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome. Awesome. Love it.
And are you talking sexual experiences?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, I've had sex since I've been here.
Oh, wonderful. How was it?
It's awesome. Yeah.
Was it somebody that you knew already?
Yes, somebody that I know back from home.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, not a committed. It's just fine. It's fine. He's ready. And he's standing right behind me. He doesn't know we're talking about this.
Oh, he will soon.
He soon will.
Was that the first time for you guys?
No.
Okay. So how was it, being here in such a new environment with somebody that you already have that kind of relationship with? Does the environment, did it add to anything for... You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know if it added or took away anything. It's definitely different, and it's definitely a different sort of dynamic being out here. And
how so?
I don't know how much of this I can actually say.
That's totally valid. Yeah,
I would love to just
no worries. Yeah,
if he wasn't standing right there, I could give you the story because it's so good. There's so much fucking drama. It's so good. It's so good.
I feel that for sure.
Yeah, there's other dynamics, other people here that have also had experiences with this person. So that's interesting navigating.
That is interesting to navigate. Yeah.
But just try to roll with it and just have fun.
Yeah.
Why not? And I was actually really interested. Hello.
Ooh, it is getting windy out there, y'all.
And I've never been to kind of any kind of like orgy or anything like that, but I was interested in going to the orgy dome.
Orgy dome.
Yeah,
I've heard legend. I've yet to go myself either.
Yeah.
But I hear excellent things.
Yeah.
100% of the time.
I'm definitely like trying to push my sexual boundaries around those sorts of things.
Oh,
because you would have talked to me 6 months ago. There's no way I would ever consider doing something like that. I'm like, really? Fuck it.
What made that shift for you? Do you think?
Possibly a midlife crisis, but we don't know for sure.
Sure. Well, yeah.
But that might be part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
just kind of at a point where you're just like, fuck it, I just want to do what I want to do when I want to do it.
Well, and I think it's actually more of like a midlife reflection, where it's like if you live your life a certain way, and then at some point you're like, do I want to spend the rest of my life doing what I did before, or do I want to try something totally different?
That's that real shit.
Yeah, the real shit comes for you, man, and it came hard for me.
Yeah, right. Well, and also like I found when you push your boundaries, it's sometimes the boundaries push back, and that's positive. It's at least you know where they are then.
Yeah.
And it's okay when you're in exploration mode of being like, maybe I won't like this.
Yeah.
And that's okay too if I decide that's not for me.
Yeah.
Whatever that thing may be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think there's just so much that. How much are we taught, or how much of it is what we actually feel? And so I'm trying to peel that back. Like, how much is like, what am I really attracted to? What am I not attracted to? What are my brakes? What are my accelerators on things?
Yeah.
And just kind of like trying to unlearn things that were never really mine in the first place.
Oof, that's that real shit.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's something that we all, it's a lifelong endeavor
for sure
to continue to peel that back
constantly. And like you said, it's such a good point that when you push the boundaries, they push back, and like they definitely do. You have to literally get on the roller coaster and just fucking hold it.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, life is a roller coaster, whether you're consciously like working on it or not. Life is happening. You have to make choices every minute of every day. And even if your choice is quote unquote no choice, that's still a choice
for sure.
And you have to be, it's like, at what point is it just easier to do seemingly the harder thing in the moment, because that'll ultimately be a better choice, one way or another,
or it won't be. Or it won't be.
More information.
Exactly. That there's, I don't think there's like, I'm not an everything happens for a reason type of person. Because some really bad shit that happens shouldn't happen. So I just feel like, things can happen to us, and it's like up to us to decide how we want to go forward with that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for saying yes and randomly pulling over on the side of the road. And is there any last things that you want to say to the people listening right now across the playa?
I mean, have a good time. Let it go.
Let it go, baby.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
All right.
Go to a gong sound bath, because it'll change your life.
Oh, that's right. That's what you're heading to.
That's what I'm heading
perfect.
To.
All right. Well, you guys heard it here first, and I will get back to you momentarily. Awesome sauce. That was Chromeo Bonafide Lovin', y'all. Once again, this is 96.3 KAEZ on Playa. We are at 4E this year. If you want to come over and say hello, I'm literally in the AEZ tower that you can see from Inner Playa, which is fucking a great way to guide yourself home in the middle of the night. I am Meow Mayhem, and I am chatting with folks that feel like stopping by and talking about, all that good stuff. Sex, sexuality, relationships, identities, relationships with your own body, relationship with other people's bodies. I don't know, wherever the conversation goes. I now have someone that I actually forget their playa name. What are you going by, my friend?
Tiger,
thank you. So, Tiger, what made you, I was telling you about me doing this segment a couple days ago, I think.
Yes.
And you were like, I want to come, I want to be on that, I want to do that. What made you want to just jump all over it and be here with me?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, long-time listener, first-time caller. No, a lot of my friends have told me over the last few years, they're like, you should start a podcast. And then we met a few days ago, being neighbors here, and you told me you had a podcast, which I thought was absolutely fucking fantastic. And you told me the premise of it, which I thought was amazing. And so I was like, yo, you should record this shit, and I got to get on your podcast because... I mean, you were telling me you have like backlogs of interviews, and I'm like, you need to record the Burning Man one because that might be a hit. You know, you never know what interesting characters are gonna roll through, and like I speak for myself, I consume a fuck ton of podcasts because I think in these long formats, right, you're able to really get deep into an actual conversation and learn about a topic and a person, right? You know, back before we had all this tech to do this, right? Everybody, you'd watch like a news clip or a TV show and they'd have like 4 or 5 minutes to get an idea across. And like, that's not enough time for a lot of complex issues, especially like what you're talking about, like sexuality and things like that. It's like, you know, the longer format, I think really lends itself to really exploring ideas and creativity, you know, and so I want to be part of that.
Awesome. Fuck yeah. And what makes you believe you're a good fit for this right now? I mean, I genuinely, personally, I say that jokingly because I personally think every single person in the world would be a fascinating person to interview on this topic. So I'm saying it a little flippantly, but you did volunteer, so I'm curious like what your perspective on yourself is.
We're both sarcastic, so I think it's fine. You're not stepping on toes. So why am I good for this particular podcast and interview? Well, like you said, everybody, we all like sex. I most of us do, I assume. And, you know, I think it's a really taboo topic in a lot of circles in the world, and it really shouldn't be. Especially you come to Burning Man, you see all kinds of fucking sexual expression here, and it's beautiful. So rad. And it's so rad. And people are supportive of it, whether you know you're like straight, lesbian, gay, a furry, doesn't fucking matter here. And like it's cool to be in an environment like that where people are celebrated and encouraged to be themselves. You know, I find that super beautiful, especially this is my first burn. So, you know, so maybe, I love it. You know, I'm not a virgin, but I'm seeing the burn through virgin eyes. So maybe, you know, so we can kind of play with that.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, and it is interesting. Just you saying that, how we do utilize the term virgin, even in non-sexual, you know, situations, which I always find funny. So in that thread, as a virgin here at Burning Man, anything that's particularly striking for you, or is this easy peasy? These are your people, you always knew they would be, and you're fitting in, no big deal?
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like these have been my people. I feel like I've been lost from my tribe I'm 37. I'm like, been lost for 37 years and now I'm home.
Yay!
But like, you know, the circumstances that got me here were absolutely fucking crazy. So a good friend of mine was supposed to come, speaking of sex, with a guy she was trying to rekindle, I think, something sexually with, and he bailed on her at the last hour.
Rude.
So we left on Saturday, and the Friday before I get a message saying, hey, Tiger, you are my one friend who I know would love Burning Man, who could get his shit together in like a day's notice and just fucking roll with it.
This is your first burn and you got here with a day's notice.
Yeah, so she, and I get this text message and I'm like, okay, that sounds great. I'm like, when are we leaving? She's like, tomorrow. And I'm like, all right. So one of my jobs, I teach yoga, and I'm like, all right, well, I have to teach a class from 11 to noon, but once I'm done, like, we can roll out like 1. And she's like, okay, it's gonna be like 14 hours. I'm like, fuck it, let's go. And so we get in the car and we're driving here, and I knew about Burning Man, but I wasn't like, you know, just kind of like what most people probably think or know of it who haven't been through a burn. And I get in the car and we're driving here, and I'm like, all right, so like, how does this go? Do I need money? And she's like, there's no money there. And I'm like, all right, where the fuck are we going? And she's like, just trust me, you're gonna have the best time. And so we get here in the middle of the morning, like 4 at the gate, and it's kind of blowing some sand. And she just looks at me, like grabs me by the shoulders, and she's like, "You're gonna have the best fucking time." And yeah, and so then we got here, and
was she right?
She was absolutely right. I've been doing a little bit of everything. Like example, this morning, I made some pancakes with my neighbor. Then I went and I yelled about bourbon, beignets, and bacon, and bratwurst today, and like just been doing a little bit of everything. Went out to the playa, helped build some art. Beautiful. Helped set up parts of our camp, and
have you done anything particularly sexual on playa? And I don't necessarily mean hooking up.
Right.
Classes. There's shit tons of classes.
Yeah.
We previously mentioned Orgy Dome. And
I heard about Orgy Dome.
Yeah. So have you checked out anything in that realm of things, whether it's with a specific person or not?
Okay. So I guess two things.
Yeah.
It was like the second night I was here. I ended up down the street at the Leopard Lounge, where I like to bang the drum with the band there, because I'm a musician. I play guitar and drums. And late that night, just hanging out with one of the bartenders, and this woman comes up, and I have to tell everybody this story. So I called her the Enchantress, because she comes out of the night wearing like sexy black and red lingerie, has red hair, pretty woman. And she's doing some sort of performance type art piece, but honestly, I think it was like witchcraft. Like, and so she's like moving around and like just like, yeah, like I was enchanted. So was the bartender, and she even smelled like whatever essential oil or perfume she had on, and like radiated out this like like I said, it's just like an enchanting smell. Yeah. And so she basically does this like magic, like says some weird shit that like cuts deep, and then walks off into the night. And so me and the bartenders named Bingo, we look at each other and we're like, well, that's the most interesting thing that's happened tonight at the bar. But it gets weirder.
Yeah.
So then we roll a joint, smoke the joint. I decide I'm going to go out to the playa and just ride around. So I go out, and I'd seen the man during the day, but I wanted to check him out at night. So I roll through there, show up, I'm walking through, and I go to the backside of the stage, and it's that fucking Enchantress woman again, standing there with like three dudes. And she's doing this like moving magic like around this guy, and it like it's I was a little high on mushrooms too, I'll be honest, but it seemed like she like pulled this guy's soul out of his body, like rang out like some of his inner demons and shoved it back into him. And this guy, you could see it, being a straight man myself, I looked at him, and he went from being like captivated by her to like kind of aroused by her to like kind of scared what she was saying to like it ended up his brother like came up and was like holding him. He started crying, and like she like exorcised some fucking demons out of him. Wow. And then at the end she goes around like hugs everybody, and she comes up and hugs me, and like I whisper in her ear, I'm like, how the fuck did I just run into you again? And she says some sort of like what you'd expect like a sorceress or witch to say, some sort of clever quip I can't quite remember. And she's like, I know it is like strange, darling, but like nothing is by coincidence, and like kisses me on the lips and walks the fuck away. And I was just like, what was that? What the absolute was that? So that's the only like actual action I got on the playa. But
I mean, that's a hell of a story.
It's a good story though, right? Yeah. I mean,
and kisses on playa are just so sweet.
They are.
Yours sounded particularly spicy.
It was
in a completely different way.
Yeah, it was just like I was just caught off guard. I left, and I'm like, like what the fuck was that? I'm like, did she just cast a spell on me?
Maybe. We'll find
But then
out.
I gotta say, after that, the next day, I would say I personally met like the most beautiful woman. So we'll see. That's to be determined.
Oh, cool! How exciting is that?
It's super exciting. Yeah, especially because like I've been divorced for 6 years. So I'd say the first like 4.5, almost 5 years, like I kind of like went back to being a virgin practically. Like my sex life just dropped off, and it mostly was by choice because once I think you have like a deep love and that ends, then you get to a point where like when I was younger, it was like, oh, I'm gonna go hoe around, but then it gets to a point and it's like, man, I miss that deep connection with a person. So it was like, I think I'm just gonna do a lot of healing, and then when the time's right, I'll be like ready to go back out there. And like and this year is probably the first year where it's been like, okay, I'm ready to like coming back online. I'm ready to move on. And
I feel that. I actually went through something very similar recently. Not as hardcore as a divorce and all the things, but a major, it was my fiance, and a major breakup, and and I'm polyamorous. And so I realized after my breakup with him that I hadn't been truly single in like over 10 years. Our relationship was only 4 years, but there was always overlap of different relationships, right?
Yeah,
because I'm poly. And I love being poly, and that's absolutely an orientation for me. So that will never not be the case. But I was like, I need some alone time. I need to not for a minute.
Right. You got to unpack those bags, right?
Yeah, man. And so it's been 2 years now since that breakup, and I've had like some hookups sometimes, kind of for like maintenance.
Yeah. We'll get that. Yeah.
But really, like I really shut down. I was intentionally single and intentionally kind of shut down my interest in other people and connecting in that way, and so I could really focus on the trauma I just went through and kind of recalibrating for me and working through some stuff, and just similarly to you, in the last, I want to say 4 to 6 months for me, I can feel my sexuality and my interest in other people
kind of renewing,
starting to come back online, coming alive again, and that's really exciting. It's really exciting, and I don't know if you feel similarly. Because it kind of tells me that like, maybe I'm definitely not done with my trauma, but
healing's a lifelong journey, right?
For sure. But like, I've done enough of the work that it doesn't have to be my entire focus anymore.
Exactly.
I can
you feel
finally,
like a whole being again.
Thrive again and live for me and find the joys and I love sex. I love relationships. I love connecting with people so fucking much.
Absolutely.
And it was really healthy for me to not for a minute, but it's exciting to have that kind of reawakening.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I'm glad that you're experiencing that,
Yeah, you too. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I think that's right. That's like the most important thing is like we all like go through shitty parts of life, right? Like ups and downs. But I think, right, you gotta, when you go through something like what we both described, right, I think it's important. You have to unpack that bag and like deal with your shit. And like, it's really the most unfair thing I think you can do is bring your emotional baggage to someone else's doorstep, right? And so that's, for me, that's why
analyzing it first, at least.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
We're all going to do it to some extent.
Right, to some degree. But like you were talking about like healing journey, right? And like that's so critical. Like if you don't heal yourself, right, and you really, it's unfair to your partner, future partner, to expect them to heal you. Like they can definitely play a part in that journey, but it's like, I think that's where a lot of new relationships like fuck up and fail before they have a chance to bloom, is like they're going and they're like, oh, this one person in my past hurt me, no matter who they are. And then it's like you bring that to your new partner and then they're like, hey, well, I didn't fucking do that to you. I understand you went through this, but it's like, like, don't take it out on me, dog. I'm not the one who fucking fucked you over, right?
And it can be different this time.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. And everything is right. It's every relationship is different, especially I get, you being poly, like you get it, like there's difference, and like everybody is like can be wildly different, right? Like that's a whole new, like, it's just interesting, I guess.
Well, and to your point, I also think it's really important to kind of analyze, and not that, I'm 32, and so I don't have like a.
I'm 37, so we're basically the same age.
But I'm just saying, like, I'm not, super wise to all the generational shifts in the way that we treat marriage and relationships and stuff. I just have, the stuff that I know. And but I recognize that it feels like today, a lot, we all love marriage, right? It's always, marriage is based on love, instead of arranged marriages and whatnot, or at least not as commonly anymore. And that's the goal. But we also put so much pressure on, your one partner to also be your entire confidant, to also be your sexual lover, to also be your therapist, to also be your best fucking friend, and huge. Do everything with, and to also share all the same hobbies with. I mean, I just feel like we're at an interesting place right now, where we've idealized maybe a little too hard. And it's putting a lot of pressure on one person, for a lot of people, on one person. To do all the things all the time. And I don't know. I have no further point after that, but it's just something that kind of I've been contemplating for a while.
Yeah, no, I like that point a lot. Like to kind of riff off what you're saying here. Yesterday, actually in camp, I was talking to one of the people I'm camping with, and we were kind of talking about this same sort of topic, right? Cool. And like, I think the problem, you seen 40-Year-Old Virgin, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Remember that line from it where they're like, yo, you're putting the pussy on the pedestal, right? It's like, like I think too many people, they see their partner, or somebody they're interested in, and they immediately idolize them in a way, or they can. Not everybody does this, but I know I've been guilty in the past. And then you put them up on this pedestal, and you start creating this fantasy about who this human being is, instead of loving them for who they are, right? Yeah, and then, like you said, like, if you're getting most of what you need from your partner, that's a great thing, but like you shouldn't need them as the sole source of everything. Like you said, like if it's like, yo, I need this person to do everything with me, always make me happy, always like, like listen to me when I'm sad, shit like that. It's like, if you put that much pressure on another human being, like that's not healthy for anybody, And like you said, it's almost like you just have to love the person for who they are, right? And like they're good, they're bad, because like none of us, we all have great qualities and we all have like less desirable qualities, right? Sure. But like, I think when you start, or when people start projecting in a way like, oh, you know what, I know they're not this way, but I can like change them into this other way, and that's the fucking worst thing you can do, because like
you go down that fucking TED talk,
right? Yeah. Right. I think we've all had that relationship, right? And that's just deemed to fail. So I think but
and like you were just saying, it's not fair to either of you. So it's obviously not fair to your partner to have all those expectations, but it's also not fair to yourself to think that you can actually acquire that from one person, and then you also end up hurting yourself with your own expectations when they inevitably fail them. Right?
Absolutely, yeah. No, you're like, that's exactly. It's like you pulled that shit right out of my mind. That's exactly what I was thinking. So that's and that's why these like podcasts are great, right? Because you get to capture these good conversations, this like real organic shit. Like none of this is scripted, we're just going off the cuff here, but it's like
it's just a conversation,
right? And that's and that's what's beautiful about it, is like then people listen to that. And there's been so many times I listen to something and like you pick up a little nugget of knowledge and you're like, man, I'm glad I fucking listened to that. Now I kind of changed my perspective for the day,
for sure.
Or like I teach a lot of yoga, so like I always try to theme my class and like talk about something. And people are like, how do you pick like the topic? I'm like, literally I pick it before I walk in the door. It just depends. Like maybe I read something, I heard something, I had a good conversation with someone, and I'm like, we talked about this little thing. And I think that's important because like in the grander scheme of everything, it's like, you teach somebody about that and it's just get them to think, and once, just for example, we're talking about like sexuality at Burning Man, right? It's like, there's some shit here I have never even heard of and seen,
Tell me.
You'll know the name of it. What's the rope thing? Where Shibari. Yeah, that's a new word.
Japanese rope bondage.
Yeah, I learned that fucking day one here on the playa.
Did you go to a class? Did you just happen to see it walking by you?
I was at a barbecue where I got this VIP status, which doesn't mean anything because we all got barbecue. It means I came back and my campmates are like, where the fuck are you VIP at? I'm like, at barbecue. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But anyway, after this barbecue, I go across the street and there's this chai tea tent. Fuck yeah, dude. And there's smoke.
Fuck up some chai.
Yeah, me too. And it's like it was like Arabic type base, so there's fucking hookah there too. So I was like, man, this is.
Oh, you're talking about Spice and Vice.
Spice and Vice, yeah.
Shout out to Spice and Vice. Y'all are the shit and have kept me caffeinated and relaxed at the same time several days now. Yeah, so I appreciate you.
Fucking great people.
They're over at 4:50. Like, no, 3:45 and a half.
And a half, yeah.
3:45 and a half.
Shout out. And then, so I was in there and I met this guy over at the barbecue. And we had a good conversation and then we met back out. He ended up happening to be at the chai tea tent. And so we sat down and I can't remember the guy's name, but anyway, he had those like kind eyes, like those soft blue, like kind soul kind of eyes. And I remember he goes by Sage and he had a shibari like rope on, and I was like on himself around his waist, and I was I noticed it while we were eating lunch across the street, and then when I ran into him again, we were just sitting down like a smaller group of us. So I was like, hey brother, can you tell me about this rope? And he was like, oh yeah, do you know anything about shibari? And I'm like, I don't. And he's like, well, you want to know? I'm like, yeah, tell me.
That's why I'm asking.
Right, exactly. And but yeah, it's just fascinating because like I knew nothing about like bondage or rope bondage, and like, you know, kind of the way I grew up, like I heard about this stuff and I'm just like, I don't know, it seems a little strange. But then like I met somebody, right? He explains it to me and I was like, oh wow, that's actually like quite fascinating. Like I never really thought of like the sexual nature of that, and like it's just eye-opening. Like, will I try it? I don't know, maybe. Like, but I mean, if the right chick will tie me up, I'll definitely go do that. But you know what I mean? But that was like, you know, super cool. Or like, you know, that was something, like I said, I had never even heard of. So like that's kind of the magic here is there's stuff like that everywhere.
And it also took you asking.
It did.
You saw it, and you were curious enough and capable enough to just ask.
Yeah.
And they were likewise available for the conversation to explain, and that's fucking so good. I love it. Right? And also to your point, you know, if the right person, you know, joke. But for real though, I personally like I am not into I don't think I am into certain things until the right partner comes along that is so into that thing, and I'm like, sure, I can try that with you, or I'll do that with you, and then suddenly it's like the best thing I've ever done, and it's so fucking hot because they're so fucking hot, and they're so into it, so I'm into it because I'm into them. Fuck and then now I have a new kink.
Right? Yeah, exactly, right, exactly. You know, and that's and like as a virgin burner here, that's the thing I've loved the most about it. Like, yeah, there's like, I mean, I play music too, so like I love all the fucking live music. Like that's been fucking great. The DJs, the art, like it's all fucking great. But what I think makes this experience is what you just described, is the openness between human beings that you can go, hey, I don't really understand this. Can you teach me? And everybody is more, at least in my experience, everybody's more than happy to share their story, their experience, their sexual like preferences. And it's like in such a healthy, open way that like, you know, I feel like outside of this setting, you might see somebody like, we use the shibari rope guy, right? You might see that and be like, okay, like I'm curious, but I feel like, you know, like I'm not into men. So if I ask him, maybe like it's going to get taken the wrong way, right? Sure. But then here, it's not that energy at all. It's like it's just an encouraging, open, like inviting energy. And like you said, and then when you open that up, then you can actually learn about shit and go like, oh, you know, maybe I would be down to try that with the right person. Like where before it's like, you can, at least for me, I look back and it's like, oh, was I holding some judgment in like certain areas? And it was like, oh yeah, I think I was. And so you kind of work through that here too, just by just people opening their heart and being friendly. And that's what makes like this Burning Man from like my virgin eyes like the best, is just the community of people. Like where else can you get fucking a pancake and then bourbon, bacon, and beignets like on the same block and like for no money? They just come hand it to you. And a pickleback. And then you can go down to the Leopard Lounge and fucking jam with us at 2.
And get a sound bath.
You get a sound bath, you get a foot massage. Like you fucking name it, you can find it here on the playa. And that, you know, and I guess that would be my like kind of advice to any other virgin burners out there, is this whole thing is like what you make of it. Like if you want to sit around and camp and do nothing, like that's your experience. But if you're willing to go on an adventure and just like open your heart and your mind to people out here, you don't even need the map. Like give you a booklet with everything that's fucking planned, but like you actually don't even need it. You can just fucking ride out a direction with an open heart, and like you can fill your fucking day with like all kinds of blessings, you know?
Yeah.
I mean even just us, like we met selling bourbon, you know, and it's like the connections with people, it's cool. And like the fact that, you know, everybody's just, we have the time here and we don't have the distractions of like cell phones and bullshit.
For sure. And also I think there's something to be said for we all get to be weird here.
Right.
We all get to, have that freedom within ourselves.
Yes.
And so therefore, I think it then reflects an abundance towards being open to new connection.
Yeah, absolutely.
And being more wide open as you're exploring yourself and expressing yourself. So it's a very special, unique space, especially if you're looking to explore anything new. It's like this is the spot to do it, because you're gonna be held with love and acceptance, and you just trying.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no judgment.
Yeah, that's the best part. So let's talk about your burning experience so far. Yeah, have you? So are you here with somebody? Are you single? What are you doing? What's your adventure look like at the moment?
Yeah, no, I'm single. And it's been a good time. I came with all of the intention of going to a bunch of kink stuff. I miss I'm a kinky bitch, and
Fuck yeah, you wouldn't have this podcast if you weren't a kinky bitch.
I disagree.
Okay.
But you can still be knowledgeable about a thing even if you are not yourself.
That is true. That is true.
But I digress.
Right.
I am, so it doesn't matter.
Right. We'll just roll with what it is. We got a kinky bitch up here.
Yeah, what up? And so it was my full intention to go to like a bunch of kink events here on Playa. Because I kind of miss that in my life. As we already discussed, it hasn't been in my life intentionally for a couple years now.
Yep.
And it's very integral, I feel, to who I am as a person. It's a very large part of the communities that I run in and all the things. And so I've been feeling a little out of touch with myself in those spaces. And so I had every intention to come to. I favorited, and earmarked a lot of things on the what, where, when. All the different kink of plate spots, and there's different kink. I mean, there's like I want to say 3 or 4 kink specific camps within a block of me. And nice. I don't think I've visited a single one yet. And and that's just how Burning Man goes. Like it's just squirrel all over the place. And that's okay. And I'm not upset or bummed about that. But I know that had been my intention at one point in time. Yeah. But
do you think you'll still make it before the end of your journey here at Burning Man, or you're just gonna play it by ear?
Yeah, I'm not worried about it.
Let's see. That's the best. That's how I got here, right? Like that's the best spirit to have. Is just we'll see. I want to. That's my intention. If it happens, it happens. If I fill my day up with more fun in a different way, then that's beautiful too, know?
Yeah. And I'm, and to your original question.
Yeah.
Or original question intention.
Right. The original intention of this question. Yeah.
I never go to events, or really anything with the intention of hooking up with anybody.
I don't either.
I have a hard time understanding people who are like that, even though
Same.
I know a lot of them and I have no judgment around it. It's just not how I personally operate. And I like connecting with an individual first and foremost before anything goes any further, because that's where I find the enjoyment.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can get myself off.
Right. Yeah. It's like
faster and better than you probably can. Let's be honest, because we haven't hooked up before, and whatever. So it's like getting off is beside the point for me.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I would rather just fully connect. And if it happens to go in a sexual direction, then fucking rad.
Right. Exactly.
But it's not like I seek that out when I come to burns or anything.
Hell yeah, that's cool. Like we have the same viewpoint on that, because I feel the exact same way.
Awesome.
Like I said, I met somebody since I got here that I'm quite interested in, but
that's so exciting.
Yeah, but that was not my intention
to meet
at
on
all.
Playa, what a beautiful thing.
Right?
Do you think that you'll meet in the real world?
I hope so.
Awesome.
I hope so.
Awesome. Do they live close?
Yeah, just
I
live in Phoenix, and she lives in LA area, so
cool.
not far.
That's a hop, skip, and a jump.
Yeah, and I'm not rooted permanently in Phoenix. Although I will be there the next year, but I don't have to stay there. I grew up there. I love it, but I'm not attached. So it's funny though, because you're talking about kissing on the playa, right? So Hopefully she's not listening. But we've been trying to go to the playa the last 2 nights. Like the first night, they had like a clusterfuck getting here. They got here late because of their bus broke down and shit. And so first night, she was just like tired. So she fell asleep early and was like, she's tired. Let her sleep. So then last night, we were trying to go, or then the next night, we were trying to go out to the playa, took some mushrooms, kind of upset her stomach.
Oh, yeah.
And so didn't want to leave camp because of the bathroom situation, right?
Yeah.
And so then, right, and then last night we were like, okay, we slept all day. We're like, all right, we're going out.
Tonight's
the night. And then we tried to do like a microdose again, and that's how we determined. It's like, you know what, you probably just shouldn't eat any mushrooms right now. It's like they're not fucking agreeing with you. So third night in a row, didn't make it to playa. So the goal, and now it's like kind of interesting weather on the playa. Looks a little like cloudy and shit. So the goal is to eventually make it out there and like, because
it's cold right now.
It is a little cold, guys.
Nipply, y'all.
Right, tip it nipply.
Yeah.
So the goal is eventually I want to get out there at night, and then like, you know, I feel like if you're gonna have a first kiss here on the desert, like that's where you should, under the fucking starlight and the laser lights of the playa.
10 out of 10 recommend.
Right. Yeah. So. Maybe tonight we'll make it to the playa. That's the fucking goal. Like, we'll see though. With the way this is going, it's probably gonna rain, and then like, but who knows? Maybe it'll happen at the burn. But
no expectations.
No expectations. No, but we made the best out of a good situation. So like,
it sounds like you guys are still connecting regardless.
Yeah, like the night we were supposed to go out, like we just ended up chilling in our camp at the trailer,
and that's still fucking awesome.
It was awesome. Like we had a good time.
You don't have to leave camp to still have a phenomenal burn, which is so wild. You just watching people like walk by or ride by in the crazy art cars and their insane e-bikes and all the things. It's like, that is so entertaining too. I love people watching. And
then our camp's right here, right behind where we're broadcasting. So there's a stage there. So sometimes there's musicians that just pop up on
Town
it.
Hall at AZ.
Yeah, so it's like we get to hear some music like without even leaving camp. It's fucking great, dude. Like this was the cherry on top. Like I told you earlier, my story of getting here. Like there was no this was not planned for this summer at all. Like I'm going, when I get back actually 4 days later, I'm going to Peru on a yoga retreat. And I just happened to have this time off. So this was like the best surprise gift I've ever been given in my life. Like I don't know. I have to decide what I'm gonna do for my good friend Birdie. Shout out to Birdie, who's actually covering for you right now while you're able to do this.
Yes, he is. Thank
so
you.
I gotta figure out when I get back. I gotta get her something like real nice or something from Peru and say thank you because, you know, like I mean, here's the other thing too. Like, what an honor. Like when shit hit the fan, like it's cool to be that friend. It's like, yo, I need a good friend to come, and I thought of you. Like, and then now that I've been here for, 5 days or whatever it's been, and I've like really gotten immersed in what this is. Yeah. Now I realize what a big honor I thought it was an honor at first, but like now I'm just like, holy shit, like that really means a lot. Like what a cool friendship. And so I'm just super, super happy to be here. It's blessed, so dude. It's fucking rad. So
well, Tiger, I think it's safe for me to say you were a virgin no longer.
Yeah, right. I don't think so. I feel like I got participated in a little bit of everything so far, and I think I popped my Burning Man cherry. All I got to do now is just watch the man burn down, and I think And if
you can stick around for Temple,
I want to.
Really special.
Yeah, I went to the Temple 2 mornings ago, and I heard about the whole vibe at the Temple, and I went in the morning at like a little after sunrise, and so I rolled in there, and a guy had a harpsichord set up in there, and it's if you're not familiar with a harpsichord, it's just like a long kind of it's a harp that's on its side, and you pluck it, and it's like a Asian type instrument, right? Real soft, somber type music. And so he's just playing in there, and there's all these like people just like paying homage to lost ones and people they love. And this guy had put something on the altar there in the temple and just started like breaking down, weeping, and I think it started a chain reaction. Like I started crying, a lot of us were crying in there, and I wasn't even intending to do like anything, and I immediately thought of my good friend. His name was Mike Booth, but I call him Boothy or Booth, and he was a medic that I knew growing up. He was my neighbor. And then when he went to Iraq, he got really bad PTSD, came back, killed himself. But all I could think about for some reason when I walked, and this was over a decade ago, but when I walked into the temple, all I could think about was, it's like, man, if Booth would have been able to come to Burning Man, I think he'd be alive today. Because I think he would have, yeah, because this was his vibe, like, and he didn't know it. And I think, like, he felt like he had done some stuff during his military time where he was like, you know, I just feel like I can't reconcile with it. And unfortunately, those demons got the best of him. But I think had he been here and gotten to see this, I think he would have been able to dig down deep, find that inner strength, and, like, you know, he'd still be around. So I just felt like super compelled. I just wrote like a little thing on the wall in there for him. And yeah, it was emotional. I didn't expect that. It was real heavy. And then I hung out for a little bit, rode back to camp, and I was still like pretty emotional until I got pretty much down E Street here. And then like saw some people I knew, and it was time to make some pancakes that morning. So like then I just turned it around. But like that's kind of, like that particular morning, I kind of bring that up because it as you mentioned the temple burn, because it really just shows like it is an actual city. Black Rock City is like a whole diverse ass city. There's like fun and games and party, but there's like real shit here. Like people, you know, people get married here, you know, because like the connections and stuff that they make are so, you know, pivotal and like paramount in their life. They're like, you know what, this place is special. Or like, you know, people are like, oh, I have to bring this memento for the temple burn because of my lost homie, and he always came and loved it or whatever. And hearing that part of Burning Man's fucking great too, you know, because like it's, you know, it's just it's life, you know. That's what's it's life, and you're living it fucking raw dog here on the playa, and it's great, dude. I love it, man.
Yeah, raw dog in life.
Raw dog in life on the playa. That's your quote for the day, everybody. Go raw dog some life. If you're not raw dog in life, what are you doing?
Well, Tiger, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you. Awesome. This was fucking awesome. I appreciate it.
Yeah, fuck yeah. And maybe some other time I can do a proper long one for my proper podcast.
Right, fuck yeah, let's do it.
This is fucking excellent.
Oh, yeah.
And I love the Burning Man perspective so hard right now.
Thanks.
So especially from a virgin.
Right. Oh yeah,
it's good stuff.
Yeah, there's a region people seek out. You know, virgins are sought after. Although we just proved that I'm not a virgin anymore, so no more white for me, guys. I can't wear white. I'm not pure anymore. I've been tainted by the dust of the playa.
Yeah. Now you're just tan like the rest of.
Now I'm just tan,
this
right?
Is like terrible, like dusty tan.
Yeah.
Oh god.
You guys can't see it obviously, but there's a fucking dust storm and wind blowing. Although it's nice. It's probably only like 69 degrees out. It's fucking beautiful.
It was just raining a second ago.
Yeah.
Like, what is?
We survived like
what is even happening? Right
now? Half the tent fucking blew away in the night last night. Yeah.
Oh god. Yeah. Let's not get started on that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Cool.
And everyone, again, I am Meow Mayhem, and we are on 96.3 KAEZ. If you want to come over and chat with me for a minute or 10, I'm at 4NE in the tower. So say what up if you feel so inclined, or wave as you pass by and ignore me. That's fine too. You do you. It's your burn. And yeah, let's see. What do we feel like listening to? Oh, I got something good.
Yeah, something
Here
good.
we go. Yeah, we got some Luda in the house.
Luda.
Alrighty. That, of course, as we all know, the lovely Jimi Hendrix. And before that, what did I even play? Oh, a Marilyn Manson. And before that, we had Luda in the house. So, you know, I think we're just rocking along pretty well. Once again, this is Meow Mayhem, and I'm with KAEZ in the AEZ Village at 96.3. And we are at 4 and E. If you want to come over and give me a fist bump or something, say hello. But in the meantime, I pulled another random person off the street. Cheyenne, how you doing?
Doing all right. I'm not so random. I'm not so random. You know me, baby.
Not so random, but random that you're here with me right now. So, you already know the topic at hand here, but How many burns have you been to now?
Oh, since 2007, honey.
Okay, 2007. So you're a veteran. We can, I think, a veteran burner. I think we can attest.
Oh yeah.
I would love to hear like one of your most electrifying Burning Man sexual experiences that you've had, because I know you have a plenty.
Well, I'll tell you one. Not the most electrifying.
Okay, that's all right. I'll take what you got.
So sensual, it started out with this eye contact, and then it was like, kissing.
You were at a bar or something?
Yeah, I kind of started out there. And
okay.
It was. You just had that electric feeling, and you just couldn't stop, and it was like, it went on and touching. It was just it was romantic. It was sexy. It was fun. It was just like, I love this.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that was somebody that you just met that night?
Yeah, it was random.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
I know.
Did you ever see them again?
No.
No?
Yeah. But that was kind of the beauty of it.
It really is, yeah.
Strangers. Oh, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
How about you?
Oh, so I think my all-time favorite was, fuck. So I've been to a lot of burns, but they're mostly regional. So this is actually my second Burning Man, but my 11th burn, right?
Sure.
So if we're going off of Burning Mans, last year I was cruising around Deep Playa with a new friend of mine that I met on Playa, of course. And it was one of those days that we kind of had 2 days ago, yesterday. God, what is time? I'm still awake, guys. I haven't slept. So technically in my world, it's still Thursday. So what is time? One of the days recently, we had, it was like one of those rolling whiteouts kind of constantly, and so anyway, me and my friend were roaming around Deep Playa, looking at the art, just seeing what's what. And these rolling whiteouts kept happening. And at one point, we just both had this moment, and we just turned to each other and started making out in the middle of a full whiteout dust storm, right? Our mouths are dry and and it makes no sense. Our goggles are on, but it was so fucking cool. And such a unique, special experience because, with these rolling whiteouts, it's it'll be clear and you can see all of Playa and you can see all of the art around you and all the people roaming from place to place. And then suddenly, within a matter of seconds, you are the only two people on Earth.
Right. Are we talking sex with the trash cans?
No, not sex on trash. I'm literally just saying making out.
Oh, that's good. You got to do it. It's a thing.
Yeah. I know. Well, I hear trash fence is lit up this year, so that's going to make it a little more spicy for some people.
Hell yeah.
No, sex at trash fence is definitely a goal at some point in my world.
But
with the right person in the right moment,
sure.
You don't want to force these things.
No.
But making out in the middle of a fucking dust storm was a key highlight of the two Burning Mans I've been to so far.
Awesome experience. Awesome.
Yeah, and I think that just goes to show it doesn't have to turn into sex to be a beautiful, electrifying, fucking awesome experience that you feel so connected with, right?
Because a hot kiss could almost be orgasmic.
Oh my God.
It just goes through your soul.
Truly. Wow. Yeah. Honestly, when I get in that zone with somebody, before you actually go the distance or whatever, and you're kind of in this getting to know each other or just at least vibing on each other and connecting and stuff, and you make out for the first time, and it's I feel like I'm in high school again.
We're just gonna go.
Yeah, right. But it's you're holding, you're not quite going, the full whatever, and it's just making out just to make out, and that has all the energy and pent up everythingness in it.
Hell
and
yeah.
That is just the sexiest, best feeling. And then somehow it's a little lost after you do hook up, because now you can hook up every time, right? Now you can go the distance every time, and so the making out isn't quite as electrifying when you know that you can continue going, right? Or at least in my experience.
Are you saying it's never as good as the first time?
No, of course not. No, of course not. Honestly, for me, I don't know how it is for you, but for me, sex for the first time with somebody new is rarely any good.
Well, yeah, because you just don't know the
You don't
buttons
know
to
each
push.
other
Yeah.
yet. I mean, it's happened a couple times in my life where it's like, whoa, that was phenomenal. What the fuck? Where did that come from?
That's
Who
what
are
you're
you again?
seeking out, baby. That first time.
Woo! But you know what? Like repeat customers, that really
You get to know.
Then you develop more rapport, and you get to learn each other's bodies, and that is it's obviously where the magic usually is, so to speak. And I honestly enjoy that conversation. I enjoy like. It sounds so lame saying this. I enjoy like after hooking up with somebody, or it doesn't even have to be like hooking up, but like having sex with somebody, or doing whatever, and just kind of having like a decompression conversation afterwards.
Yeah.
I honestly love those.
Well,
they're actually very key to me personally. Is like, oh, I liked this. I didn't care for that, or maybe I could show you something, or whatever, or this was so fucking hot and that made me feel so hot, and I really liked it when you like whispered that thing in my ear, right? And like that is so informative.
Yeah, well, that's an important message for a lot of guys out in the playa world and the default world too. Is because how many guys, wham bam, and then they've fallen asleep. They just want to go to sleep. Like, no, I want to talk about it. So, dudes, listen to your partner and give some feedback, and she'll love you. Yeah, long time.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Anyway.
It's part of it.
Do you have any, after coming to so many burns at this point for you, do you come, I'm sure you don't come with any expectations, because we all know better than to do that.
For sure.
But do you ever come with any goals in mind, especially in part of like, maybe not necessarily full on, hooking up with people, but wanting to connect in that way, or even going to classes? Do you ever do any of the workshops or classes? Or anything?
Occasionally, but
go to Orgy Dome or anything?
I think the thing that you really have to focus on is you're not going to hook up. Don't have an expectation. I'm going to go Burning Man and I'm going to get laid. I'm going to get fuck every night. It's like if that's your goal, if that's your expectation, you'll fail. But if you want to just experience new things and go with the serendipity. I mean, that's what you should seek out. Communicate with people, and you never know. You can talk to somebody else. All of a sudden, it's like, oh yeah, you want to do it? Oh, fuck yeah. And this is a thing about this classes or June. Always say yes. You want to go? Yes. Don't be afraid. Don't be want to go naked bike ride? Yes. Say yes. You can always say no to some random sex act, but just say yes. Get it laid out there. It's a beautiful world out there. People are so giving. So
and just be and to your point, just being available to what may happen. And obviously, as always, it's important to respect your own boundaries.
For sure.
And you are responsible for your own boundaries. So saying no is also very important. But being able to say yes for those random acts of whatever the fuck that may be, especially here on Playa, is a lot. It can be a lot of fun. It can be very eye-opening into yourself when you may have not realized you were trying to explore that, right?
Right. So let me ask you a question. Are you a morning lover or an evening lover or an anytime lover?
Ooh, good question. I want to say anytime, but I'm inherently a night owl. So I want to say I'm like more awake and lively at night. But that being said, morning sex is fucking great. Let's be honest, right? Like, and what the best way to like wake up a partner, that when they're not necessarily
caressing
like good morning,
beautiful,
when, obviously with somebody that you have that agreement with, but I want to say anytime, but if I really, probably nighttime is what I tend towards, but
right.
It's all good. How about you?
Oh yeah, both. But I think in the evening, you're well-oiled. You're in the mood and fun. The lights are out. The ambiance. But then again, that morning loving is special, especially so quiet. And you can see the sunrise. You go out there and just get naked and have fun in the sun, and it's a beautiful thing. It's a different experience, more spiritual for sure. I don't know. I might be an anytime guy.
Yeah. I'm shocked.
Well, some people say, so are you bisexual? I say, well, I like to think of myself as trisexual. I'll try anything. Oh, kidding. I'm kidding. I'm just a joke here.
I kind of love that, though. Honestly.
A trisexual?
Yeah. That's a
I've
good
never
joke.
done it
like
that way, you know. Kama Sutra.
Right.
Wow, I'm upside down. Wow.
Yeah. Have you ever come to Playa with a partner before?
Yes.
Yeah? And how does that... And you're not partnered right now?
No.
Okay.
No.
So I'm curious what your experience at Burning Man is like, single versus partnered, and and partnered with a partner who's on Playa with you or off Playa, right? Like, I'm curious how those.
That's a lot of questions.
I know. Well,
I'll dive into the first one.
I'm laying the groundwork, and you take that. From
So coming to Playa with a partner, and it's got to be a pretty strong relationship because there's a lot of distractions, and if they're like, oh, she's got a cute ass, you're going, all right, I got a pass to look at, whatever. And I'm not going to offend her. But, it can be harsh on relationships, really, especially sexual part. Like,
how so?
Well, people have this expectation of loyalty, you know, and I'm sort of that way too, for sure. But if, well, let me put it this way. I've rarely seen a fight on the Playa in all my years. The only fights I've seen is like, where were you last night? I got lost and I fell asleep in this tent. What's that lipstick on your collar? And then they blow up like, oh, you don't love me, you don't respect me. So, it's tough to bring someone out to play, but sometimes it can be really rewarding. Like, oh, I never saw that side in you. How exciting. But, it's lonely to be out here by yourself with a partner. A little bit, because you have that bond. Yeah. But at the same time, it's exciting and intriguing, and you just got to go with it, Yeah. It's fun. Yeah. I dig it. How about you?
So I've definitely been to Burns, single and partnered, and they're just very different experiences for me. Partnered, you're definitely compromising a lot for what you both want to do a lot of the time, because you want to spend a lot of time together on Playa, or whatever burn you go to. And so that inherently changes the entire burn, I think.
For sure.
Because you're always having to, take them into consideration, right? Sure. But then you also get to, share these incredible experiences with somebody else, which also deepens these kinds of experiences too, right? Because now you have a shared memory, and it gets to be even more special. And then also, you have your babe that you can hook up with every night if you want to, as well, like on Playa, so that's also lovely. But being single,
let me ask you this. Have you ever been into the lifestyle?
Oh yeah,
swinger.
I'm polyamorous. So I think there's a distinction, but I am adjacent. Yes.
Yeah, but some of my burner friends, other friends, will go out to rent a whole floor of motel, and it's like, game on. And costumes. It's so fun.
Oh, it's so much fun
because it's there's no expectations. But there's this joyousness and this. It can be hella fun.
Oh, totally. But to your original question, going to a burn single, for me at least, is also, I think I prefer it. I think it's my preferred experience because I get to do whatever I want, whenever I want, and then I also am available to connect with anybody I want. And to me, it's the connections I make here that are really so spectacular. And I hate, again, I'm poly, so I don't do this as much, but regardless, like, I'm more available for more connections when I'm single.
For sure.
And because they're inherently because of how time works. And if I'm with a partner doing things most of the burn with them, then I don't have as much time to be available to connect with just making new friends, right? Anyway, that's I don't know. I think that answered your question, but
so here's one more question for you.
Yeah,
so
totes.
You're out here and you're going, I'm horny as fuck. And it's just like you're looking and looking. It's like you're in an oasis. Look for that oasis. It's like this across the desert. Like, what do I have to go to orgy? I mean, it can kind of frustrating a little bit sometimes. Do you find
totally.
That?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I have been very turned on by a lot of you fine folk out there.
Sure.
I am thinking of one or two in particular right now that I have definitely masturbated to when I got back to camp.
Baby.
And I appreciate all the eye candy for sure.
Hell yeah.
But that being said, like at the end of the day, I can get myself off.
Sure.
You know, I don't need to hook up that badly.
Sure.
I personally like the connection that I make with people. And so if the connection isn't really there, then I'm really not interested because I can do me better than you can do me probably, right?
Yeah.
And so
well, wait a minute.
So, no, I mean, we don't know, but generally, yes. The royal you, or whatever.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny, girlfriend.
But yeah, so yeah, I definitely get fucking ramped up and horny as shit depending on what I'm doing or who I'm seeing around the dust. But that doesn't necessarily alter my behavior, if that makes sense. So how about you?
Well, I was just gonna say you've got this hot, sexy playlist designed. Should we play them a song?
Shall we play them a song?
And then we'll get back to it.
Oh, okay. Sounds good. All right. I guess that means Cheyenne has to think about it for a second before answering.
Ooh, baby. Think about that girl last night.
All right. Well, I got Just a Lover by Hayden James coming up, y'all. All righty, y'all. Cheyenne, I'm just curious if you have any wise words of wisdom for those sexual creatures, dusty motherfuckers that they are, out here on Playa.
Well, the first answer is safe sex. I mean, let's face it, having sex with a rubber on is like taking a shower with a wetsuit on, right? Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of stuff going around, so, be safe about it. Unless you know your partner, and you're both, you're for sure, then, there's no substitute. But yeah, that'd be the first.
Well, and also conversation is sexy.
Yeah,
in my opinion. Let's talk about it. Hey,
foreplay?
But like, when were you last tested?
Sure.
How many partners have you had recently? Like, if you're really looking to like not use a rubber, like no judgment, but maybe have a conversation about it and see if that's like a safe profile for you, right? Like whatever your safety parameters are for yourself.
So once you're there, it's like, no, you can be a little bit more free.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what I say.
That's definitely a good one. I also think, especially mentioning you dusty motherfuckers, maybe clean yourself fairly regularly because you never know when something can happen. Right. You never know when a moment will strike. So be available for that and wash thyself.
Who wants a stinky Twinkie?
Not I. Not I. Well, Cheyenne, thank you so much for joining me.
That was really fun, Riley.
Awesome.
I love you. Okay.
I love you.
Fun, yeah.
Bye. All right, that is John Legend classic. Satisfaction. That smooth, so smooth. That shit is so sexy to me. I don't know if it does it for anybody else, but I fucking love that song. So I am Meow Mayhem, and I am coming to a close with my segment today here at KAEZ 96.3. But before I go, I have Reptile Dysfunction here, who's actually taking over the next segment, which is fucking rad. She agreed to do a little chit chat with me here first before I head out. So, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so fucking good. I'm so happy right now.
Yeah.
This is the best. This is absolutely the best. I found it really funny that your name is Reptile Dysfunction, right?
Yep.
And it's it felt very appropriate to accompany my segment about sex and sexuality. As a female presenting person, have you ever dealt with erectile dysfunction in a partner before?
This is one of my biggest issues, being in the lifestyle.
Yeah.
My primary partner, my husband, does not deal with this very often. So when I'm with other people, I find it happening quite a bit.
Oh.
And I think it's a big issue for people in like a group setting, right? If you're with other people and you see people my husband who's performing on, with your wife and doing great, and then suddenly I'm here, and you're like, oh shit, I can't keep up with that.
It's intimidating.
It's intimidating.
Yeah.
And then it was really hard for me because I would internalize that. And like, what am I doing wrong?
Oh.
Maybe I'm not sexy enough. Maybe I'm too intimidating. And so it would really mess with me because I'm like, oh no, this keeps happening to me.
Right.
No, it doesn't.
No,
it doesn't.
It just happens.
It's just happening everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's prolific.
Yeah.
And so I think that's part of normalizing it, right? Like, we need to talk about it. This happens to everybody sometimes. It's not a big deal. There's other things we can do, but also know the party that you're coming to.
Right.
There's things we can do.
Yeah,
there's things we can do.
There's tons of things you can do with tons of implements or other appendages.
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely.
And to your earlier point, I've heard this a lot, actually, specifically when I talk about erectile dysfunction with my male friends. They've told me horror stories of women's reactions when that happens, and so they have a lot of baggage, like as if they don't have enough baggage around it already. And then there's people like just adding on to it, which is awful. And these horror stories are just like, they'll get up and leave the room or say that they're, just not, but it's, I recognize that, like you said, it's stemming from a place of the women suddenly feeling insecure of like, well, guys always have hard-ons. We're taught this our entire life, whether they like it or not. They always are hard. So it must be a me problem if they're not hard right now. And I would love to take this opportunity to talk to all people out there that, like, when ED happens, like, it's not about you. Like, it's okay. Don't take it personally. And it's gonna, you guys can just like work it out together and still have a great time doing plenty of other things.
And having the perspective of, I'll be fine with enough lube and a good attitude. I can do anything. Right. And that's not the case for everybody, right?
True.
So being sensitive, being thoughtful, being considerate about that, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, totally.
It's not a big deal.
Well, awesome. I am signing out on that note. I love you guys so much. Thank you for having me today, beautiful Burning Man people. And handing it over to this lovely human over here. Fun was that? I am in love with this episode so much. It kind of happened. I don't know if I'll be able to do future ones. I'm sure I will, to be honest, because I just want to expand on this more. I had so much fun. I was incredibly nervous to do a live, more sporadic version of my podcast for the radio station, and I'm so glad that I pushed my own boundaries and got out of my comfort zone and just winged it. And I think it turned out fucking awesome, and I had the best conversation. So I really look forward to doing this again next year and the year after that, and every year that KAEZ will allow me to continue to DJ, because that was a shit ton of fun. So yes, thank you again, everyone, for being so patient and loving me anyway, and still being here and listening to my next episode. I so appreciate each and every one of you guys, because I love this passion project of mine. I think it's the fucking best. Obviously, I'm biased as all hell about it, and I don't care. So I hope you guys enjoy it even half as much as I do, because I always learn something new from every person I talk to. And so I will talk to you guys again in 2 weeks when I am back to Richmond, Virginia, and chatting with Goddess B and Slut Boy. They talk about getting married and her discovering that her new husband has actually been seeing mistresses behind her back, and that he's been in the BDSM world with professional dominatrixes and been hiding it from her, but been doing it for a long, long time, and how she chose to be curious and interested in this passion of his and join him on this journey, and how it has only led to more self-discovery for her and a deeper relationship for them moving forward. And it's just beautiful. So please join me in 2 weeks when I talk with them. And in the meantime, stay awesome, friends.